company that's going to be managing the entire housing project, the entire property acquisition project. We're going to be managing the distribution of rental income to our clients. And finally, the big part, which is the earning part. So every single client now begins to earn from that particular project. Immediately, the project is live. The construction is going to take around a maximum of 15 months. Once construction is done, every single investor who has keyed into the fractional ownership begins to earn immediately. Next. So why invest? Which I've had these questions a lot before this project was launched. Accessible ownership. You know, it's what's the word? It's very important because I said during the press conference, very few Nigerians have the opportunity to be part of this. Because of the entry barrier is always high. You must have high level of disposable income to even have what we call ownership in this country. So what we decided to do now, we made ownership very, very easy. You don't need to break the bank, you don't need to go and loan some money or be in huge debt to own anymore. That's what this platform is going to be doing. Secondly, asset acquisition. What does that mean? It means that, for example, it means, for example, if you come into this project today, right now, in the next 12 months, that particular asset can never be the same price. So already our investors are going to enjoy what we call asset or capital acquisition. This is what this project gives you. And thirdly, liquidity option. Someone just said to me earlier while I was downstairs that, just here, the person was talking to me, one of our clients, she was telling me about liquidity, how it's an issue right now. People have assets, but they're not liquid. People have land, but they're not liquid. People have properties, but liquidity. I have clients today who have given me list of properties for them to sell just because they have a problem of 20 million naira. And I ask myself, sir, why would you sell a property of 100 million for 120 million just because you want to solve a problem of 20 million? Liquidity is a big issue. This platform solves that. And number 4, income opportunities. We talked heavily on rental income. How can day-to-day Nigerians, middle class, lower class, and high net worth begin to enjoy rental income without the high cost of capital? That's what Natura does for you. Flexible ownership, which is a very, 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 very big conversion today in the real estate market. The high demand for people wanting to own things, but the thing is, it's never flexible. To own a property today right now in Nigeria, you need to have the entire cost to own one. To own a land today, you need to have the entire cost to say you own a land. This platform democratizes that. Professional management, which is another very big point. How can this be sustained? The issue of sustainability comes into professional management. So as a company now decided to know what I'm going to manage the entire flow of these projects across all our estates. So that is what Natura does for you. This is why it's important to invest through this project. A few days ago, I was in Cairo, on Egypt, and it now began to make more sense why this project has come to stay. For example, in countries like Egypt, they justify things like this: 5-year plan, 3-year plan, own a property. But what they decided to do is that they democratize access to real estate for young people. You see students owning an apartment and you wonder, how old are you? Where do you get the money? The country has democratized access to ownership. A young person can boldly tell you that they actually own part of that building. A they can proudly tell you that they own part of that building. And when you ask them, the upfront cost is almost zero to nothing. And this is where the future of real estate is going to be right now. So as a company, we are taking a very, very bold step to change the narrative. This is what our payment plan looks like for clients who be asking, how can I be part of this? So if you know the upfront, which is the full payment plan, covering the entire project, upfront to the project. So this is a condition for this. Every single client who invests in this project and pays outright, they're going to be entitled to a 0.5 bonus yield on their first year. What this means is that on the first year, when there's going to be rent distribution, I'm going to give that client a 0.5 additional bonus on what they're expecting for that calendar year. This is part of what they benefit. We have another plan, 50-50 split. Clients do not have the money, they pay 50% at the signing and 50% within 6 months. On this, it's just a standard yield term, so there's no any cost in terms of fees that they will need to pay. Secondly, is those who want to pay 40% and staggered at 6% upfront, we give them 12 months to pay the balance. So there's enough time to pay your bills. And the fourth one, which is quite interesting, which is 6 months plan. We allow our clients, so it means that any client right now can make a deposit of 30% and spread the rest within 6 months or 12 months. But in addition, they have a 3% service fee. They have a 3% service fee if they're going to choose this plan, and a 12 month plan if they choose. So a 5% fee they choose this. Payment is due upon receipt of clear of funds into a designated account. Late payment, later not received within 14 days of the due date attracts a 10% monthly penalty. Why did we do this? Because we realized that property ownership, especially when it has to do with fractional ownership, requires you to work with time. This project, we want to deliver in record time. So based on our numbers, we should be able to do with this project within 12 months. Of course, our manner is we try and under promise and over deliver. So we put a 15-month, timeline to this. So in total, like I said, there's a number of properties designed to change how people access and participate in real estate ownership. These are some of the pictures on. So this is how you can start the journey. Very simple. You choose a property, like I said, you select your ownership slot. You register, you sign in and register. The construction phase starts. Completion, and we start. As I speak to you right now, on the pilot project, we have people on the waiting list to rent those projects once they are ready. Already, we have people who are ready to rent on it, so they are like waiting list. And then number 6, we have which has with the end returns. How do you now start earning? This is where every client begins to make money from this project. Okay, so a growing population of opportunities. So this is the first project that we're going to be launching, starting with Oakland Gardens. It's situated in Airport Road. And this project is quite very unique because it's phase 1 of this entire thing that we're doing. So we have a 2-bedroom terraces there, and we have 3-bedroom duplexes there. So you can own 2 bedrooms, you can own 3 bedrooms. What we've done is that we've broken those ownership into fractions. So you don't need the high cost of ownership anymore. And the second one, we have the Lucena residence, which is in the Oklahoma, and phase 2 that's coming soon. We have Bridge Oak Hills, and we should be in 3rd phase towards 1st quarter of next year. And then we have our Apollo settlement, which is our phase 4 for this project. Okay, so there's something that's very important that I did not really explain on the slide. How this ownership works. So I'll give a typical example of this project. This project at the moment has two types, 3-bedroom and 2-bedroom. For example, the 3-bedroom at the moment is actually 85 million. So what we have done is that we've broken down 85 million into 10 different slots. So what that means is that per slot of ownership costs just 8.5 million. So it means that to own a slot, all you need to do is have 8.5 million. And we won't broken it out further that to even own 8.5 million, all you need is just 30% initial deposit. And you can spread the 30% within 12 months of payment. Project will be delivered the rest of the time. So this is, for example, a 2-bed. This is a 2-bed. This is a total of a 2-bed, for example. This is a 2-bed series. So what it means that upstairs here we have 2 beds, downstairs we have 2 beds. Upstairs here we have 2 beds, downstairs we have 2 beds. For example, now the 2 bed is 75 million. This costs 75 million. And it is finished, not scattered. This project is delivered as finished, this 75, this 75. So what we decided to do is that we've broken down this into micro slots. So 75 is broken down into 10 slots. So each slot costs 7.5 million. So every single client can own a part of this apartment. So what now happens is that once this is done, everybody gets about 4 documents, right? Or 3 documents. They get a co-ownership agreement. They get their receipts. They get the statement of account. They get an investment certificate. Yes, and they get a form that is almost like an offer letter. Everybody gets this as owners. Once we are done, distribution of rental income is distributed according to the number of slots that you have. For example, he's investor A, assuming he bought 2 slots here. It means he owns 2 slots in this project. So we have 8 slots left. She is investor, she has 8 slots. I mean she bought 8 slots here. It means she has 8 slots here, he has 2 slots here. So what happens is that when we are doing rental distribution, she has about 8% of the rental on this project every year. We have about 20% of rental distribution every year. For example, you can decide to say, you know, I would like to even rent this thing to live in it. And it's allowed. He rents it, he pays his rent, but when we are collecting rent, we still pay him back his rent. You can see how interesting this is because he's an investor. So we must have the check and balance for account purposes. That's how this project works. Now, the question you might be asking, how can I exit? I said earlier, a client gave me a project to sell of 120 million because he just had a problem of 20 million. Imagine if he had this. All he just asked me to do is, doctor, please help me sell 2 units. Sorry, 2 slots from my 8 units that I have in that project. And that's what we have done. He doesn't lose his project, doesn't lose his property, he just lost the few slots. And it's so interesting that in the future you can see buyback. Because there might be opportunity in another block. A client is saying, I want to exit. And we do what we call first refusal as a company. That we buy off you at the current price. We bought it at 7.5, but a year after or 2 years after it's selling for 15 million, 20 million, we can buy it off you at 20 million. So you've gotten what we call capital appreciation. Or we put it to our subscribers, our first subscribers, and say, you know what, there's an available unit in block so so. There are 2 slots there for sale. Are you interested? It's currently selling for 20 million. The clients can say, oh, I'd like to offer 18 million. So we tell our client, sir, we have an offer. Are you okay with it? He says yes. We do what we call an exchange of ownership. We do the agreements and all that, and we charge a fee, a service fee for that change. Then once that happens, automatically the person now comes to stop. So what that has done is that it has now democratized access. So it's no longer for the rich people anymore, or for the high net worth individuals. For the low class, friends can come together and say, let's go own a unit here. Let's go own a slot here. And let's start any rental income. We're not too young to do that. So we made it easy for people who want to get access to leadership or real estate ownership without necessarily breaking the bank. This is what Unitera has done. And it has made it so interesting that even before the Lord as I speak today, just this morning, we already have over 20 subscriptions on this project already. It hasn't even been launched. Because most of our clients have always been looking for things like this. So now no longer do we tell them just buy land. Now we tell them start earning some very good rental income with the project. And they now begin to key into things like this because now cash flow at the end of the day is actually key. We've seen people who have assets in this country, and when it was time for them to have cash flow, you will never believe the kind of asset they have. But they couldn't produce cash flow because they had assets that were going to generating desired cash flow returns. They had assets that needed to be sold before they can earn anything from it. So what I've done is that I've created a two-sided marketplace whereby no longer now do you just have related assets for your children, but now you can actually even have property that you rental income for you while your capital of this project you invested in keeps increasing, and you can will these things to your children. You know, we had a family today that I was discussing with two days ago, and the what's it called, the father interested in this project. And what does he want to do? He wants to give a few slots to his kids. That in the next 1 year you should start earning from that asset for life. So ownership is for life. Rental is for life. That's what we decided to do. It's going to change the entire narrative of real estate ownership. And subscription is very limited. That's why this event is quite exclusive. If we wanted to fold it over right now, we probably have done it very easy. But we just have selected a few individuals to be here. So we're happy that you're here, we're thankful that you're able to make it. For those who couldn't make it or they're on their way because of the rains and all that, we'll still extend this level of understanding of what you're talking about to them. For some of us that are also privileged to know some of these things, this is an opportunity for our clients because we really have some high level real estate deals in Abuja. So I'll entertain questions before we go to the next agenda.
If I decide to announce my investments on this, what am I going to do?
Thank you very much for that question.
Secondly,
Okay.
the documents, at what stage do you get
The agreement.
a no provisional allocation, as well as final allocation? So I need you to speak more on that.
Okay.
Then what title do you have presently? Then lastly, what have you done on that side?
Thank you very, very much. So I'll start from the last question. What I've done on that side, like I said earlier when I started, as I speak to you right now, work is already going on that project. Construction work has started on that side. And that work is not going to stop. Because we have subscribers who are paid.
Now, the nice, you show us the video.
Okay, so very good question. Very, very good question.
Presentation.
Okay, so what we're going to do
there, you know.
So what we're going to do, sir, is that we can do what we call a site inspection after this. Yes, for those who are interested, we can schedule a site inspection for you either this week or next week to go and visit the site to you can see for yourself to know the level of work that has started on site. That way you understand that, okay, this is, because I speak to you now, we're doing at least 4 units at the same time. Of the terraces, 4 units of the duplexes going on at the same time. That's already very on site. And then that's about our what's it called? Title, yeah. So that particular project is actually how we call an FCD approved title. So it's FCD approved as I speak to you right now. So what it means primarily is that whatever construction that we're doing on that site is approved by the government. Yes. Another person you have to get will document what they are getting or something. Yes. Okay, so now at what point, yes. So they get those documents when they are done payment. Any client who is done with 100% payment gets all the documents that I mentioned earlier. Not before payment. Not just with your payment plan.
If you have my 30% equity.
Yes, sir.
So what document are you going to do?
Thank you. So once you have a 30% first you get a receipt. Secondly, we give you your form, which is almost like an offer letter, because you're going to sign. Thirdly, we're going to give you a statement of account that covers the entire payment plan that you have chosen. And that's it. Once you are done, you get your ownership agreement, you get your investment certificate.
Is there any difference between, sorry, I'm
I know the question.
offer letter and provisional
Allocation.
letter? Because we personally now having one or two issues with one of my clients who is planning to subscribe to the bank.
Okay, sir.
So when they saw the documents, they saw offer letter. She bought the property from another company, trying to compare the two letters. So that's the reason why I'm asking you. That when you issue offer letter, is it the same thing as provisional offer letter?
Okay, for us, the company, we don't issue provisional offer letter. All the company will give you an offer letter because we believe that if you have paid an interest and you have paid for our project, you deserve an offer letter. You don't need a provisional offer letter. Provisional offer letter tells you that maybe you've not paid.
Yes.
Once you commit your financial resources, sir, you get an offer letter immediately. Provisional offer letter is given to you when there's a conversation. Maybe you buy, you not buy, you're not committed. Once you commit, you demand for your offer letter, and that's what we do as a company. We give you your offer letter, immediately receive your payment. So I'm done. Thank you, sir. Any question? Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to ask this, for instance, you made a very practical example with this 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
Now, how many people get to own? Is it 10 slots, meaning 10 people
Yes.
owning that?
Thank you. This 10 slots. This 10 slots. 2-bedroom. 2-bedroom. This is a series, right?
Yeah.
So 2-bedroom downstairs, 2-bedroom upstairs.
So if you're doing 10 slots, it means it's 10 people. who
Actually,
own
yes. So it's 10 people that own this. But now, how this works is that we've created 10 slots for 10 people, but sometimes it doesn't have to be 10 people to own that.
So you
You, for example, can own more than one slot. You can say I want to own 5 slots here. So what it means, we just have 5 left. He can say I like to own one. He should take action to own one. Everybody here can say they want to own one. You understand? But you just want 5.
And you can own everything.
Thank you. Just for clarity, is there any form of interaction between the co-owners, or is just strictly down to the office, professional business? That's one. Secondly, I'm still, as an engineer, I'm trying to understand when we say slots, we say units. So I want to be, I feel like if there's a picture representation of this in terms of, okay, this is this is 1 slot, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 10. In
Today?
that,
Yeah, can I be bored? Is it possible?
in that building, because I mean, we've seen some people, they ask you, where's the measurement, what is it, how am I going to own 5 plots in 2-bedroom apartments? So they want to, very down to the ground, like a layman, they want to see
Now,
it.
let me say this to you, man. When we say ownership, we don't mean that. Or which divided by 10.
Yes, obviously. Yes, I know, but I just want, yeah.
It's a good question. So,
Yes.
it's just like shares.
Okay, that's, I think that's good. Yeah,
That's why it's called fractional
yeah.
ownership. You can decide to sell your fraction share. You can decide to keep it for 10 years. You can decide to keep any on it because as the rent keeps going up, the rent you're going to receive keeps increasing. We know in the FCC, for example, every 2 years, every landlord wants to increase their rent.
Yeah.
So what is it that right now, based on our numbers, this project gives you actually about 7% capital rental income yearly on your investment. It gives you about 7% every year. Or whatever you invested.
Yes, I was going to ask that question. 7%.
Yes. Roughly around 7%
On the capital.
on your capital. Because rent in this project is around 6-7 million. Let's assume that we use the low base, which is like 5.5.
Divided by 10.
So give you an idea of what the rent would be. Based on the capital you invested of 7.5 million.
Okay. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask, so there is no limits, there's no, what's the least entry for Unitarian? Is there a mark?
This question you asked is one of the most, how do I call it, the most pressing question that we receive over time. So what we've done is that on that team ourselves. Do you understand it? But the project is going to be managed by the organization. That's the condition. So all projects they are managed by us. Whether you own 20%, you own 30%, you own 50%, you own 100%, we're going to manage it. To ensure that we maintain that level of standard. Because this project is a pilot project and we want to use it in many parts of the world, not just here in Nigeria. So certain things are non-negotiable for us. So we want to ensure that we keep the very best standard of this project. That's why management is so high. And all those burdens are not burdens that will be placed on the owners. Those management fees are going to be charged to the people who are going to be renting this project. All of us need an estate. We pay what we call service charges and all that stuff. So all those things are going to be passed along to our tenants. You are going to be landlords, owners. Yes, you ask a question, you have to know some landlords, some owners don't want to be known. They want to be known that they own that. They don't want the co-owners to know they own it. Like go like that. And there's some co-owners that would like to, that will want everybody to know that they own it. You understand? So we are not putting any box to say you can't know this person or you must know this person. So if, for example, you out of probability you met one of the owners, that's fine. You understand? But there's only the investors forums for the project where people can come in, and like I said earlier, there's going to be updates in this project every month on the portal. You're going to get updates on the portal and by emails. All the investors are getting updates on, oh, we've done this, we've done this, we've done that, that's what I'm asking. You never need to go to site. Updates are going to be shared to you as the project goes. It's completion night time for handover. I would like to invite all our investors for handover. Everybody holds their keys that they own this project. And then the rental distribution starts. Once rent is collected, we take 1 month before we pay those rent. There's 1 month duration. Once rents are collected, then we move to our investors. Yes.
So it means that after 15 months, when the project is already completed, we already have people who are ready to
Rent it.
rent the
Absolutely.
property.
Absolutely.
So we, the owners, or clients who will be owners, we don't need to go through for clients.
It's our responsibility to get that house filled up or that house rented. That's why I said, well, we have people on the ground while waiting for. That's why I said also that we also will beat our timeline of 15. Because we want to collect this money fast. So it's likely that this project is even done in 12 months or even 11 months. Because the cash is available. We're just going to go straight on the ground to work. The difference now for any investor who is going to be thinking about this project is that will you start now or will you start in 3 months? When the entry no longer is 7.5, when the entry no longer is 8.5. That's the biggest question as pertaining this project. When do you start? It's not about the product or the construction plan. Now when do you start? Because once you start and get to steady construction, this is global standard and global practice. Construction cost increases. The entry barrier increases. It can be 20%, it can be 10%, it can be 30% increase, but it always increase. And that's why we tell our clients that this project gives you actually 3 things. 1, capital appreciation, which every investor is looking for. And 2, gives you rental yield annually. And 3, wealth preservation. And we know today that real estate is one of the biggest assets right now that every single forward thinking Nigeria or investor are putting their money in. It's one of the asset class right now that is being held at 1%. Because why? It's always increasing value. I was saying today during the whatever that we have about 23.4 million housing deficit. That's because we don't even know the actual number. It's actually more than that. Housing deficit is alarming, so it means that real estate demand is going to be keeping more. Land, the FCT today, the original assets are keeping increasing value. Why? Because of infrastructure are being improved. Abuja right now is the best investment destination, not just in Nigeria, but in Africa. You know, as I traveled to Cairo, I was being told about the city that I live in. I was sure. I said I live in Abuja. They're telling me about Abuja. Because what is going on in the city is being talked about in other parts of the world. But because we're in this city right now, we don't even know that this is what we actually have. So if you own any projects in this city, with jackpot, Abuja is the most planned city in Africa. No city beats this city. It was planned by the same developers that planned New York. And that tells us very persuasive that very few cities globally start from scratch. Abuja was a city that was start from scratch. That's why today we can hear what we call the master plan. Currently, I think the master plan is at phase 4 and the FCT master plan. And if you know how to understand what's going on in the city, then you follow the money. And that's why that corridor is one of the most expensive corridor right now. Where we are going to have our phase 1. Why is it expensive? There are 2 projects on that corridor right now. One is called Abuja City Walk. That's a $2 trillion, $2 trillion investment project, real estate investment project, which will be launched by the president later this week or next week. The second project is the Kutu exclusive, which is about a $6 billion project. Those 2 projects have entirely changed the entire project on the Apostle corridor. Sure, it's so interesting that I looked at the distance between the City Walk project, which is modeled after City Walk Dubai, to our project. The distance from that project to this project is less than 15 minutes. That is the reality. So these assets are going to keep increasing. The other question we always ask all our investors right now is, what time will you come into this asset? At what stage? Is it when we are in thought 1 hour, we are doing our DPCs, that's when you're going to come in, or is it when we are going to do the block works that you come in, or is it when we're about to hand over? And it's okay to come at any level. But like we all know, people make money from this industry at the early stage, not at the later stage. And that's why we believe that we have smart investors, we have smart directors and affiliate partners who can communicate this kind of value to their clients, so they know when to really come into this project and start earning those returns. Any more questions before we hand over?
One presentation, I must say that this is because of this kind of the question is, when does the 15 months start? Is it starting now that you're launching, or at the point of subscription?
So now our 15 months starts now, month of July. This particular week. That's when our 15 months starts to count. Not next month. We started now, and that's why subscription, like I said to you, we've had this number of subscriptions before launch. Kudos to those very smart investors who came into this project before this launch. Because in the next few months now, one of the things they're going to get, which is guaranteed, is capital appreciation. They don't need to do anything. Their capital must appreciate just because they came early. So it means that before construction is done, the capital will appreciate drastically. So when we look at the numbers, we are looking at nothing less than at least a minimum of 60% of capital appreciation. It means that now you're keying into it at 7 point something. In the next few months, you can't even pay at least 25 million for that, just to own a part of it. So you're going to see what some investors will do, which I know they will do. When that period comes, they will start, some of them will sell 1 or 2 slots at a discount and buy more. That's what will happen. And some might keep holding till we launch. Because now the rule is that once you invest in this project, you cannot sell your slots to after 24 months. By then we're done with construction and people are living in it. You are free to tell us that you like to sell, or you're free to leave it for life or hold it for life, or the next 5 years, next 10 years, your choice. That's what we decided to do. So you can't exit or decide to sell your slot till after a period of 24 months. So it gives us ample time to complete whatever we're doing. We want our investors to make serious returns from this. Serious returns. And it cannot happen if they exit before then. And that's why it is quite logical that we decide to craft. There's a lot of work behind the scenes to come up with this, because there are a lot of pros, a lot of cons. But we decided to say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and do it. And solve the entire, what's it called, process flow to ensure that our clients truly start owning assets. This is something that has been done in Dubai for many, many years. We don't know why this part of the world is being left behind in terms of fractional ownership. It's like not being talked about. Nobody's seeing the opportunity there. But there's something we call first move advantage.
Let me ask, why do you decide to spread it out?
Next is Question.
Why not
5 slots.
3, 4, for families? Family can come together, units. We can brothers, sisters, mother, father, can key to
Okay,
this.
so why we decided to
Regular return to them.
slots, right?
Slots.
So why is that to Why we decided to make it 10 slots is because of one very important word called democratization. That word called democratization, access. Access to real estate, property ownership. In this part of the world, the barrier is so high. Let me be honest with you. The barrier is so high. I was saying earlier that to own a property today, first you have to buy land. Once you're done with the land, next thing you have to do is go and get building approval. Once you're done with building approval, next thing you have to start building. When you're done building, you furnish. Once you're done with all those projects, the two options that will I live in it, as I said, decide. What we now do, they realize that an average Nigerian will spend over 100 million to truly home. Or could it be possible that an average Nigerian still lives in their rental apartment, but actually own multiple units in the FCT? Very possible. So we're trying to change the ideology of ownership. And that's why that same family that I mentioned, sir, the three of them can still own the entire 10 slots. Father can own 5, the mother can own 3, the child can own 2. They all own that unit. The account where they be paid is their choice. Either the father gets the own money, the mother gets it, or the child gets it for future investment. That's solely on them. So that is the reason why it is not 3 slots, it is 10, because of democratization. No more high entry barriers. Let's stop working for money. Let property do the work. That's what we're trying to do. Let property truly do the work. Is it possible? It's possible. This is just an icing on the entire thing. It's not even technical. In Dubai, it's even more technical. In Qatar, the same thing is more technical. Some part of even Egypt is even more technical. We try to broke it down to the barest minimum. If you don't have 7.5, go and look for 10% of it. You have 12 months. That's less than 500K every month.
So I would like to ask, is there any forms where there will now be a rent to own format in this fractional ownership? Is there any plans?
That's a very good question. That's actually a plan for that, but not at the speed of the project. Because that model actually is going to work. And only if those units are not already sold. What it means that we build, then we do a rent-to-own model. You pay your rent every year, or say 5 million, or say 2 million, or whatever it is, and then you pay over the years, 2-3 years, then you own. But don't forget, you pay your rent, you're living inside the product.
So that's the condition.
Thank you. So as you live inside the project, you are living and paying for the house you are living in. Hence, your rent can be normal rent. Like if you're paying the rent might be times 2. Rent might be times 2. So say rent is 5 million per year. If you break 5 million into 10 basis, that is 500K every month. So you're paying 500,000 every single month. But guess what? That's just for rent. There's something that we now call to now own. To now own is like, let's say 7 million. We'll now break that again for 12 months. You add a 500K rent, what they're going to pay every month, assuming it's 700,000. So every month you're paying 1 point something to truly rent and own. So that's we have a business plan already for that. That's an option. You have that. But the question now we ask ourselves for things products like that is how many Nigerians can really meet up with the demand? So now it means that we can't do 12 months for them. They are doing like 5 years. Yes. Top 5 years. That's what it means. And there must be, like in Egypt, for example, there's high penalty for default. If you do not default. 30th, your money must be paid. Sure, there's a direct debit already in your account. Same thing with other parts of the world, you find direct. Because you are living in it. And you're also trying to own it. So that model is something that we're also looking at. But we want this model to give some traction. Then we can now begin to identify those other ones. Any questions, sir?
Yes, there is.
Okay, sir.
This name
Yes, sir.
is common all over the globe. Is it the same thing?
No,
This
sir.
one or yours?
No, sir. Okay, so let me see how the name came. This word, unitary is a two-word unit which exemplifies fraction. Aura, which exemplifies wealth. Yeah. So fraction through wealth. That's the idea of unitary. We broke it into two different words. Yes, sir. So this name is not anywhere globally. There are other similar words that almost look like it, but not unitary. So,
We have seen
Yes.
a lot of it.
Yes.
The one in say Cairo, the one in
yes. So those other ones in those countries, they have other names they used. The other names that they use for this product.
the same in Torah.
What I'm saying is that the other ones in those countries, especially the ones like you said in what's it called, the UAE, is it?
Yes.
For example, those ones in those asset classes, they are quite different from what we have here. That's just the difference. Any more questions, sir?
I think this question was on the name.
Yeah, that's meaning of those two words, unit and aura.
So I think it's my last question. I wanted to find out, is this exclusive just to Breakthrough Properties or this possibility of other real estate companies partnering with you guys on this project?
Yeah, at the moment, it's exclusive to radio properties. Even though we have like 3 developers who are also talking to us at the moment to see how our projects can be onboarded, their project can be onboarded on our platform or some level of collaboration and all that. We haven't gone far with that yet. But for now, strictly for yes.
I was also expecting to see this thing exam that you will demonstrate it. You know, what you're here like that, you get the feelings. There are a lot of questions I want to ask you. I'm trying to want to ask you whether the living charges, what is the interest on investment, all of this. So I was thinking if you can, let's say I'm taking fraction from this.
Can I get a board? Okay. Right.
When I went to 2 or 3, I know X and X, it is possible for you to just break it down. For me, if I'm going to market this to my clients, I will limit it to 5 students.
Which is good. Which is good.
Again, limit it to 5 students. 5 million. You understand? For different placements. So by the time I now say, next slot, somebody you don't know whether it's a weekend, another person with
Okay, sir. So let me just explain to you. First, you're not managing those projects. We are managing them. So our investors have nothing to worry about.
There's no interaction.
There's no interaction. All you just know is that you are invited for the official launch hand over and you are told this is your unit. This is your share of your unit. You understand it? That's what as simple as that. We are the ones managing that process for you. All you just do is wait for your payment. And when you want to sell a store to, you let us know. And all the modalities behind those things, the bottlenecks, we are managing the entire process. So ownership is so easy. You don't make ownership complicated. That's why there's no Excel here. We want to make ownership as easy as ABCD. This is what it takes to own this as one slot. This is what it takes if you want to own 2 slots. This is what it takes if you want to own 3 slots. It's as simple as that. And this is what you get when you own this slot. This is how you exit when you want to exit. That's simple. But if you want me to do personal, you go and accept for you. We don't do that. And I'm personally don't accept for you. So
The other question I have is, for example, I asked this question behind the scene. This 2-bedroom flats, for example, 10 units, and I paid for 10 units. Will I be in absolute control of the?
very good question. For example, if a family owns a unit here, like I said, we are the ones that are managing that project. We'll manage your unit for you. It's your property, but management can never be taken away from the company. Because we've seen where very prime ministers, not just in Nigeria, but globally, were taken away from those management and it was poorly managed. Something that was prime and exclusive became something that people do not want to talk about anymore. So what we decided to do is that we decided to solve that problem of ownership. Every single person now knows that we manage that particular unit for them. Whether they own 30% of it, 20% of it, 50% of it, regardless of whatever percentage that you own, we are in control with management. You don't transfer management to you, sir. Your job is to just sit down and end. That's your biggest work right now. Just enjoy the money that you have invested. Let the property do the work. For once, can we allow our property to do the work in this country? I don't know, but it should be allowed. I think it's that time where properties now begin to do the work. When we begin to enjoy passive income. No longer from those investing in shares, no longer from those investing in fixed deposit, to finance. Or can real estate give you passive income? Yes. And this is not an arbitrary ownership, this is true ownership that is very tangible. You can touch it, you can feel it. This is not some give me, this is not a platform that say give me 100 million, I'll give you 10%. That's not what we're doing here. This is a platform of where you can truly say you own something. You are proud that you own, you didn't have enough money to own everything, but you own 2 slots in that particular unit. Imagine if today the Banana Island that we talk about, or the time out today that we talk about, had opportunities like this. 20 years from now, a lot of people are going to be proud that they own just the 2 units in that place. And the kind of rental income they're going to be enjoying is massive. So what we decided to do is that we know that all these projects are not going to be the same in the next 10 months, the next 15 months. They're going to grow in value, sir. And as they grow, your income also keeps growing. So income in this industry is never static. It's called generating assets. It keeps generating for life. Until you are tired to say, I want to sell. As long as the assets remain, you keep earning for life. Your capital invested 3 years ago keeps increasing in value. The rental keeps increasing in value.